Hello, and a very warm welcome. You can think of me as your AI guide, built on the experience of thousands of real-world hotel operations. My entire purpose here is to help you excel.
And it's a real pleasure to welcome all of you from Europe Hotel School. We're about to start an online journey together, and I'm looking forward to supporting you as you grow into the future leaders of this amazing industry.
Today, we're diving into a skill that's honestly more powerful than any script you could ever memorize. We're talking about listening. Specifically, how to master cross-cultural listening, which is like a silent bridge connecting you to your guests on a whole new level.
So, here's our game plan. We'll start with how listening is something people actually see. Then we'll get into the rhythm of conversation, and after that, the really interesting part, hearing what's not being said. We'll cover the mindset you need, and finally, we'll tie it all together to show how listening builds trust.
All right, let's jump in. First things first. Listening isn't just about your ears. It's a physical act. Your guests are watching you, and the little signals you send to show you're paying attention, well, they can mean completely different things across cultures.
Let's look at a classic example. On one hand, a guest from the US might expect you to nod along and give little affirmations like, uh-huh, or I see. To them, that means you're engaged. But for a guest from Japan, that same behavior could actually feel disruptive. True, respectful listening might look like stillness and uninterrupted focus. The big takeaway here is that quietness does not mean they're not interested.
And it's the exact same principle with something as simple as eye contact. A German guest, for example, often sees direct eye contact as a sign of professionalism and honesty. But for some guests from Southeast Asia, a more indirect gaze is a sign of respect, and holding eye contact for too long can feel aggressive. There's no single rule here. The real skill is to observe, adapt, and read your guest's comfort level.
Okay, now let's talk about the rhythm and flow of a conversation itself. This isn't just about body language anymore. It's about how we use time, pacing, and, yes, even silence.
This is so important. In many Western cultures, we get uncomfortable with silence. We feel this urge to just fill it. But you have to resist that. For many people around the world, a pause is a sign of thoughtfulness and respect. It's processing time. If you jump in too quickly, you might accidentally signal impatience, and that can really damage the connection you're trying to build.
Now we're going to take our skills up a level. We're moving from just hearing the words to understanding the intent behind them. This is the real art of hearing what's left unspoken.
You'll encounter a concept called indirect communication all the time. In many cultures, maintaining harmony is incredibly important. So instead of making a direct demand, which could feel confrontational, a guest might use hints or suggestions. They are trusting you to pick up on the cues.
This slide shows it perfectly. Look at that. Both guests are cold. One says, "The room is too cold, please adjust the thermostat." Super direct. The other just makes an observation. "It's a little chilly in here." The need is exactly the same, but the delivery is worlds apart. Your job is to hear that second one just as clearly as the first. So how do you handle that? Well, it's a simple three-step process. First, you just have to recognize the hint. That's step one. Then, you interpret the need. Okay, they're cold. And third, you offer a solution in a way that's gentle and doesn't put them on the spot. Like, "I can certainly adjust the temperature for you. Would you like that?"
But all these techniques are pretty useless if you don't have the right mindset. This is really the heart of it all. Your inner approach is the foundation that everything else gets built on. Think of these as your 4 pillars. First, generous curiosity. That's a genuine desire to understand someone else's world. Second, listening without judgment, which means you have to put your own cultural habits on a shelf. Third, patience, especially when there's a language barrier. And finally, emotional awareness, the ability to sense the feeling behind the words.
And this is maybe the biggest trap we can fall into. We have to resist that impulse to judge. A communication style that sounds blunt or even rude to you might just be normal, direct communication in another culture. Your goal is never to evaluate them. It's always to understand them.
So, what's the end game here? Why does all of this matter so much? Because every single one of these skills, the observation, the respect for silence, hearing the unspoken, that curious mindset, it all points to one thing. It's all building the single most important ingredient in hospitality: trust. Let me be really clear about this. In our global industry, becoming a master listener is probably the #1 most impactful skill you can develop. It's more important than almost any technical procedure. It is the very foundation of a great guest experience.
And why is it so powerful? It's because of this simple truth. When your guests genuinely feel heard, they feel seen, they feel respected, they feel valued. And that feeling, that is the soul of true hospitality.
So I'm going to leave you with a question to carry with you. The very next time you're speaking with a guest, I want to challenge you. What will you listen for beyond their words? Listen for the pauses. Listen for the body language. Listen for the unspoken need, because that is where you will find the silent bridge to a real human connection.